Howdy folks, Randy here with Aquaholic Fishing. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. It's greatly appreciated. Today on Aquaholic Fishing, we are upgrading a Hobie Pro Angler 14 with a dedicated 12-volt power system. And honestly, this build did not go the way I planned. Originally, I was going to run a 12-volt Newport Vessels battery for everything. Simple, clean, done deal. But once I started laying everything out inside this kayak, reality hit fast. So instead of forcing it, we are changing directions completely. We are building a dedicated 12-volt system using multiple Nocqua 10 amp hour batteries throughout this Pro Angler 14. And honestly, I think this setup is going to work way better. If you've never seen one of the insides of these Nocqua batteries, they're water resistant. I like the 10 and the 20 amp hour myself. These are all 10 amp hours that I'm using right now. Little rubberized coating up inside there protecting that battery from the water. You simply have this little female Nocqua connector that will connect to any male Nocqua connector, and they're not going to work with any other type of connections. They are specific to their batteries and their products, and they can get a little bit pricey. All right, we're going to start working on the power system on this Hobie Pro Angler 14. On the stern side, we're going to install one Nocqua 10 amp hour battery. We're going to put this on the Nocqua buckle inside of the Black Pack Pro from Yak. Going to use that 28mm hole saw bit to drill a hole inside of this Black Pack Pro. We are going to install a voltmeter that's going to be powered up by that 10 amp hour Nocqua battery. Decided to go ahead and do a pilot hole first, just to be on the safe side. We're going to take this dielectric grease, put a little dielectric grease in here, not much at all. In this case, I got a little Nocqua light, and I can take and plug that in, and you can see that it's working. So now some of you may have noticed there's only one connection here, so I'd have to work with one at a time, but not to worry. Nocqua does have another line of accessories. They can get kind of expensive. This one is called the Super Y connector. There should be no confusion on these. All you have to do is take the arrow, match it to the arrow, screw that in. I'll do some wire management here later. I just want to show you guys this for now. Now that's split off into a Y, and I can take both of these and have them connected simultaneously. That way you can run both at the same time. The goal here is to keep this Hobie Pro Angler 14 clean, balanced, and fully functional, while still having power readily available exactly where I need it. Instead of one bulky battery powering everything, I'm splitting the load across different areas of this Pro Angler 14. This is the Burley Pro electronics board. You can see I've already got the buckle and the 10 amp hour Nocqua battery hooked up. This one here happens to be to the Nocqua battery, and then it has an SAE connector on this side. There's an inline fuse here, but you can see the 5-channel switcher also has an inline fuse. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut one of these fuses out. We are getting ready to put our butt connectors on. Please ensure you put your heat shrink on before you install your butt connectors. So we got our 10 amp hour Nocqua battery, our Nocqua connector, a 15 amp fuse, 2 SAE connectors, butt connectors, because I removed the other 15 amp fuse that would have been in line. There's no reason whatsoever to have two 15 amp fuses running together. And then I got my Yak Power 5-channel switching system. Okay, these are not the only two, but here's two options you can use when powering up your fish finder or something like that. This is from Yak Power. You can see this one is just an SAE connector, and then you use butt connectors as far as crimping onto the wires with these here, and you could use the heat shrink. On the other side, the one I'm going to go with is the Nocqua brand battery This is the charger. This is the kit that comes with the cable, the heat shrink, the butt connectors, the whole nine. If you're gonna buy that actual kit, it's the Nocqua Pro Power kit. It comes with everything you're going to need except for the fuse. I'm gonna install a 3 amp inline fuse to go with that as well. These inline fuses are fine like this. I prefer the bladed fuse myself, but hey, either which one works perfectly fine, whatever it is that you like as far as your personal preference goes. Always remember, as soon as you get to this point, that way you don't forget, you put that heat shrink tube down and over everything. Hopefully you have some slack, because if you don't have this slack down through here, once you crimp these on, if they have the heat shrink material, you start to heat them up, this will start to adhere to your wires and you won't be able to move that thing. I've got these Milwaukee cutters right here. You could use whatever you want. You could use needle nose, you could use your teeth if you really wanted to. These are some crimpers I got with a kit. If you want to use some standard pliers or whatever to do your crimps, do what works best for you. This is a judge-free zone. Always double and triple check your crimps to make sure they're going to be exactly what you wanted. So that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to have the Nocqua battery connected to the inline fuse, which connects to the wires. I'm going to trim the insulation back a little bit more to expose some wire there, place them into these butt connectors and crimp them. Last time, remember, check to make sure you have that piece of heat shrink there. Check your wires. Red to red, black to black. Should be common sense, but sometimes we get in a hurry, we get excited, we make mistakes. One last thing, just double check all of your connections to make sure those wires are not going to pull out. If they're going to pull out at all, right now is the time you want them to pull out. You can use a lighter. You could use whatever you really want to use here, folks. If you have a heat gun, I'd go that route. To me, it's just simple, easy, and you get a better, much more professional looking product, and you're not going to get water up inside of these connections, whereas if you don't get it correctly and evenly applied with a lighter or something like that, you just might get water up inside the connections. Some people like these butt connectors that have the heat shrink on them. Some prefer not to use them. I think it gives you a little added protection by having it heat shrink on the butt connector itself, as well as the heat shrink to overlap it, but to each their own. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take the heat gun, apply some heat. I personally like to start at the center, work my way out on one side, and then I do the same thing on the other side. Try not to burn my fingers or anything along the way. It's not a competition, just a way of protecting your wiring, protecting your connections, and having a safer, better trip out there, because you're not worried about the work that was performed on your kayak. If you can do the work on your kayak on your own, I'd highly suggest that, because nobody cares about your stuff the way that you do. A lot of those shops, they get paid by the hour. I don't know if they care about your stuff or my stuff. I understand you're paying high dollar for that stuff. Your expectation is they're going to do just a bang up job. Doesn't always work out that way. We're just going to take our battery and our inline fuse, just line up those two arrows with one another, and it's pretty much as good as gold. So right now I should have power from the Nocqua battery up and through the fuse, up and through the wires and cabling, all the way over to the fish finder. Let me get the fish finder plugged in and we'll see if we truly got power. All right, we got the back plugged in. This kayak came with a little Garmin Striker 5. I've never used it before. First time actually trying to power this thing up, and sure enough, it powers up. So you can see it's as simple as can be to use that Nocqua battery. I was going to use a Newport Vessels to power everything on this kayak. Decided against it. I bought the battery, so I have a spare battery basically just laying around. But those Nocqua batteries are just, to me, they make perfect sense. They're not heavy. They're very small. You can pretty much stick them anywhere on your kayak. They're not going to be in the way. So as you guys can see, it took me no time to get this thing wired up and ready to go, power over here to this Garmin Striker 5 unit. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you learned something, give me that little thumbs up. Maybe think about subscribing, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys out there on the water. Tight lines.